Welcome to our explainer on unveiling the machine and the structural math of the middle class. So picture this for a second. You literally just walked out of your boss's office, right? You got a 15% raise, maybe a flashy brand new title, and you're thinking, finally, I've got some breathing room. But fast forward 6 months, and you look at your bank account, and it looks exactly the same as it did before. You're not buying gold watches, you're not flying private, but the money is just gone. Today, we're going to expose exactly where that cash went, and more importantly, how you can get it back.
Okay, let's dive into this, because most people spend their absolute entire lives wondering why their raises never actually make life any easier. I mean, we're always taught to point the finger at, our morning coffee or those pesky streaming subscriptions as the real culprits for why we aren't building wealth. But I want to set the record straight right off the bat here. This is not a failure of your willpower. It's not a lack of discipline. It is actually the result of a perfectly designed machine running silently in the background of your life. And it's all buried right there in the structural math of the middle class.
Here's the core truth, and this is straight from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This machine consumes 84 cents of every single dollar you earn, and it does it before you even realize what's happening. All those financial influencers out there yelling at you to cut out your morning coffee or cancel Netflix, honestly, those are just rounding errors compared to the massive, silent gears of the real financial traps. Traps that are literally built to automatically scale up right alongside your income. Our goal today isn't to force you into a miserable life with zero entertainment. No, it's to help you see this machine for exactly what it is. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at Eric. Eric is 39, he's married, has 2 kids, and brings home a perfectly respectable national average income. Statistically speaking, Eric is our benchmark for exactly how the modern financial system operates. Now, the BLS tracks 14 major spending categories, but check this out. Just 6 of them account for nearly 84% of where all of Eric's money goes. You've got entertainment, healthcare, food, pensions and personal insurance, transportation, and the massive one, housing.
And the most dangerous part of this whole breakdown? The largest categories, especially housing, aren't just expensive in some abstract way. No, they are structural traps, carefully engineered to permanently absorb every single raise Eric is ever going to get. Think about it. When Eric gets that awesome 15% promotion, his mortgage lender happily pats him on the back and says he can afford a bigger house. But upgrading his housing isn't just about taking on a slightly bigger mortgage payment. Oh no.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real danger here. It's what we call synchronized scaling. When you buy a bigger house, the property taxes, which are based on the home's value, scale up automatically. The homeowner's insurance scales up. The utility bills shoot up because, hey, you've got way more square footage to heat and cool. Even furnishing the place costs way more. By signing the paperwork on that bigger mortgage, Eric has essentially locked himself into a 30-year commitment of synchronized cost increases. That raise, it's completely eaten up before his very first new paycheck even clears.
And the exact same thing is happening right out in the driveway with transportation. That's our second biggest trap. See, the auto industry realized a long time ago that they shouldn't sell cars based on the actual price. Instead, they sell them based on monthly payments. So to keep folks buying way more vehicle than they actually need, even as prices skyrocket, lenders just stretch those loans out. We're talking 72 or even 84 months now. You get totally locked into this depreciating asset that just quietly bleeds your wealth dry through interest, insurance, and maintenance for the better part of a decade.
Which brings us to a really fascinating part of our explainer, the glitch in the machine, personal insurance and pensions. While Eric is stuck in this endless loop of lifestyle inflation, there's actually a glitch in the system, a totally different path. And it relies on understanding the absolute only spending category that is actually rigged entirely in your favor. It's usually the 4th largest line item on a family's budget, making up about 12.5% of average spending, and yet it's the one thing almost no one ever talks about.
So why does nobody talk about it? Well, simply because no industry profits when you contribute more to your own savings. While literally every other category has these billion-dollar marketing engines trying desperately to get you to spend more, this category has 0 push notifications, no flashy ads, nobody's cold calling you to ask if you'd love to max out your IRA today, right? That means you have to actively engage this machinery to build your wealth using things like tax deferrals and employer matches. It's the one place designed to actually build your wealth instead of eating it.
Let's look at a massive hidden lever inside this category by introducing our next benchmark. Meet Aaron. He's 42 years old and he makes the exact same $85,000 a year as his coworker, Derek. They have identical health insurance plans. But here's the kicker. While Derek treats his account like a glorified checking account just for doctor visits, Aaron is going to hit age 65 with over $500,000 sitting in an account that the IRS cannot touch. Derek, he'll have zero. Aaron completely outsmarts him using a secret health insurance loophole.
So, the crucial point is understanding the Health Savings Account, or the HSA. Get this, it is the only account in the entire U.S. tax code that gives most working Americans a quadruple tax advantage. It is tax-free going in, it's tax-free as it grows, and it's tax-free coming out for medical expenses. Plus, and this is huge, if you contribute directly through your payroll, it completely escapes FICA taxes. Even your 401k and IRA can't avoid those. It is an absolutely incredible wealth-building tool.
Now, while Derek is constantly draining his HSA for every little dental copay, Aaron uses what we call the shoebox strategy. Step 1, he just pays his medical bills out of pocket. Step 2, he saves every single receipt in a digital folder. Step 3, he leaves the cash inside his HSA and invests it in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. And here is the massive secret the IRS definitely doesn't advertise. There is literally no time limit on when you can reimburse yourself. A medical receipt from today is perfectly valid 20 years from now.
Because Aaron just lets that money compound in the background without constantly draining it, 23 years of maxing out his family contribution, which right now is $8,750 a year, turns into a jaw-dropping $533,000 by age 65. Think about that. He didn't earn a single dollar more than his coworker Derek. He just rerouted his money through a much more efficient pipe. At 65, he can literally open that digital folder, tally up decades of receipts, and pull all that cash out completely tax-free.
All right, let's move into our next section, planting your financial orchard. This is all about the massive mindset shift you need to build real wealth. To finally escape that 84% trap, you have to stop acting as the engine of your own wealth, constantly feeding that machine, and start planting a financial orchard. And the true magic really happens when you pair those high-leverage accounts we just talked about with consistent automated investments.
Let me introduce you to Andre. He's 30 years old, and every single month, he automatically redirects just $500 into a super boring index fund. Now, to the average person staring down the massive, terrifying costs of the housing and transportation machine, $500 feels way too small to even matter, right? But in the world of compound interest, that $500 isn't just cash. It is the absolute crucial seed required to reach what we call financial escape velocity.
Let's move to our timeline and see exactly how this builds across a 25-year journey. In year 1, Andre plants the seed. He puts in his $6,000 for the year, and the market hands him back just $221. Yeah, no fireworks whatsoever. But by year 10, it's starting to become a real engine. The market is actually giving him slightly more growth than what he put in. And then, by year 17, boom, he hits escape velocity. His money is literally out-earning him by more than 2 to 1, and he hasn't done anything different.
But hold on, we absolutely have to talk about the huge psychological hurdle that stops almost everyone. We call it the year 3 crisis. By year 3, Andre's account hasn't even grown by more than maybe a couple months' worth of average rent. He's probably sitting there feeling like he's just throwing his hard-earned money straight into the dirt. And this right here is where roughly 60% of people just give up. They're addicted to seeing fast results, they cave to lifestyle inflation, and they pull the plug before that seed can even break the surface.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is when we compare the raw numbers at the beginning versus the very end. Look down at year 25. Andre is still only putting in his standard $6,000 a year, but the market's contribution that year alone? Try $28,962. He is doing maybe 36% of the actual heavy lifting, and the market is doing over 60%. The orchard is officially planting itself.
And honestly, that brings us right to the core lesson of this entire explainer. Getting rich isn't about getting a 15% raise and then instantly scaling up your entire life to match it. That's a trap. True wealth comes from escaping that 84% machine. It's about actively re-engineering your own structural mechanics so you can finally reach that crossover, that beautiful, precise point where your money is doing way more work than you are.
Listen, you are not poor and you are definitely not behind. You are just living in a financial environment that's literally designed to make you fear patience and eat your seeds instead of planting them. So I challenge you to take a really hard look at your own spending map this week, because the choice is entirely yours. Are you going to keep feeding every single raise into the synchronized gears of the machine, or will you automate your seed, step back, and start planting your orchard today?